So what happens is when the patient enters the clinic complaining of some bleeding or lump or whatever, we look at that, and you can do non-invasive imaging. You don't want to poke the patient. You don't want to take punch biopsies or anything like this. But often, the first thing you do is you take a comprehensive blood work, and you'd be surprised how the blood work is telling us what's going on metabolically in your body. And so many people have fungal infections, parasite infections. All their blood work looks really whacked out. So, well, they got cancer, by the way. Oh, you're sick. Your body is not metabolically healthy. And then you have to then move that patient from, you try to get rid of the parasites. You try to get maybe some chelation, maybe whatever it is to bring some level of homeostasis back. Then once the patient gets into a more homeostatic state, and then you begin slowly entering into a low carbohydrate diet, which can help the patient start improving metabolic homeostasis slowly, not too aggressively. And then as the patient improves, the blood work looks better, the patient's overall health status improves, then you can go to more rigorous zero carb diets, and even into a ketogenic diet, even into water-only fasting. There's a lot of ways. You bring the blood sugars down and the ketones up into this state of nutritional therapeutic ketosis. And as we published in our big press pulse paper, then the oncologist or the physician, the attending physician, would then administer drugs in low dose that would target the glutamine. There's no diet that can target the glutamine. So you need drugs. But the drugs can be used in very small quantities, dosage, timing, and scheduling, to slowly degrade the tumor while the rest of the body is getting healthier and healthier. So we're not putting this patient into a tremendous stress. We're improving the physiology and health and well-being of the patient while we are slowly degrading the cancer by depriving the tumor cells of the very two fuels that they need, while enhancing fuels that the tumor cells can't use, but provide the rest of the body with energetic health, which are the ketone bodies. We evolved to burn ketone bodies. It keeps our mitochondria in normal cells super healthy. The tumor cell mitochondria can't use it. The tumor cell can't use ketones. And the two fuels that you are depriving them of are absolutely essential. Okay? Makes perfect sense. And the science and the biochemistry that we've done all validate this, right? Now, here's another thing. If you keep the glucose low, the body, all the normal cells in our body, which can use glucose through the glycolysis system, see glucose lowering. They can burn ketones and fatty acids, but they will burn the glucose. Now, the glucose is absolutely essential for the cancer cell. It's not an essential metabolite for the normal cell, but the normal cell will upregulate its want of glucose. So you're now using your normal cells to compete directly against the cancer cells, putting them at a competitive disadvantage, while the specific drugs are killing the tumor cells and not harming the normal cells.
Incredible.
Unbelievable, right?
Incredible.
I just told you. It's incredible. It works. It works great. Problem is you can't make a buck on it yet. So until somebody figures out how to make a buck on what I just told you, it's not going to be used. So listen, if I had cancer, is exactly what I just told you is what I would do. And then one of the key drugs, Don, 6-deoxynorlucine, which was used in cancer clinics in the past, had too high of a concentration and not done with the full spectrum of things that I just mentioned. It wasn't used anymore. It said, oh, it might be too toxic. Everything can be toxic if used in the inappropriate way. What do you think? Radiation is not toxic? What do you think?
Right.
Temozolomide is not? All these crazy drugs they're giving us. CAR-T immunotherapy is not toxic. You're lucky you survive it. So this argument that, oh yeah, well, why don't you want to use this drug? Well, it might be too toxic. You don't want to use it because you can't make a buck on it. That's the bottom line.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So people just get herded like sheep into these medical schools, into these oncology centers, and they suffer so much, and they die, many of them. And before they die, and as I said, it's like waterboarding these people. I mean, I have had some cancer patients tell me, J.J. Tracon with his kidney cancer, what he went through is worse than waterboarding. And when I asked them, I said, JJ, would you have rather been waterboarded or go through the standard of care like you did and try to survive? He said, I'd rather be waterboarded. So, I mean, this is what we're doing to our people. I mean, it's nuts.
It's nuts.
What am I supposed to say here? I mean, I write the papers. I clearly show what needs to be done, how to do it, publish case reports showing people that should have been dead are alive. And we don't believe it. So what are you going to do? I don't know.
It's so wild. It's so wild. We asked Travis Christofferson this question, which I'll ask you. Most treatments that you do, there's like a pro and then there's like cons. And he was reflecting on ketones being this magic kind of thing that like it's beneficial in the one way because you're lowering your glucose, and it's beneficial the other way because you're increasing ketones. And like it hits all those levels. And then let's say that it makes your cancer treatment better, but you also lose 20 pounds of fat and maybe your blood pressure goes down. And there's all these other things, everything you were talking about earlier, that could also improve.
Yes, that's a disaster. That's a scary, scary thing. That is a scary, scary thing. Not for the patient, but for the industry. With a single kind of therapy that you're not only getting rid of the cancer, but many of the other comorbidities the individual had. That is like very scary for an industry that's putting all of its eggs into chronic diseases. Because in one fell swoop, oh, by the way, this is what happened to Guy Tannenbaum. He had a terminal prostate cancer, and he went on these very long water-only fasts. He had high blood pressure, hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and prostate cancer, all of which went away during his metabolic therapy for getting rid of the prostate cancer. This is devastating. I mean, you're losing, you're pulling the resources for a whole industry. So you don't want this. Who's going to come out? You think Dana Farber and MD Anderson are going to come out and say, let's do this? I mean, they'll never do this. NIH is giving all these $1 million grants to study epiphenomena of these cancer cells. I mean, this is like a crazy thing here. But yet the people don't seem, there's no concern on the part of the population. So what we have done is we have fragmented the cancer industry into, I'm going to run for lung cancer. I'm going to bicycle for brain cancer. I'm going to walk for breast cancer. They're all the same, man. All these cancers are very, very similar. They can't survive without glucose and glutamine, and they can't burn ketones. I mean, we're testing it in the lab all the time. We're shocked about this. Then people come out and say, oh no, cancers. I read where somebody says cancer cells can burn ketones. Oh yeah? Pull away the glucose and glutamine to see if they can burn the ketone. No, they can't burn ketones. They got glucose and glutamine. It looks like they might be burning ketones, but they're burning the glucose and glutamine. We have never found a cancer cell that can live on ketones in the absence of glucose and glutamine. Wow. So, yeah, I mean, I did all the experiments. I mean, I don't know what they want. You know, we're doing them all the time, publishing the papers. And, you know, we publish beautiful papers on showing how you simultaneously target glucose and glutamine using drugs and diets. And it works beautifully. You know, you keep these mice alive, they should be dead, and they're picking them up, living far longer than you'd expect. Little kids, I feel so bad for all these little kids. You see them in the hospitals there, you know, especially the brain cancer kids, and they're always bald. You know, I told you, anytime you see a bald cancer patient, that person is being treated by somebody that doesn't understand the biology of the disease. And then they have these institutions, these cancers, they have to shave your head to make you in alliance with the cancer patient. I mean, okay, we have to raise money. I'm going to shave the hair off my head so I can be, what are you doing? This is stupid, man. You're trying to kill cancer cells, not make yourself bald. I mean, metabolic therapy targets precision targeting of cancer cells while enhancing the health and vitality of the normal cells. And nobody wants it. I mean, you can't sell it.
It's absolutely chilling when you describe all of that. I've heard you talk about cancer as a financial generating disease. It's mind blowing. And then when we were off air talking about, you know, some of the things we were going to talk about, and I asked you specifically, what has changed in cancer research and treatment in the last, 18, 20 months since we last talked? You said profit margins. Profit margins have gotten better.
Oh yeah.
It's chilling. What kind of profit is worth that amount of suffering? Like, do people not like sleep at night? Like, what money is not worth that?
Oh yeah, it is. It's worth it for the industry. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. Money first, patient second. Well, they don't want to talk about it. I had one of my students look at the interaction between the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry. Massive cross-pollination. You give them bad food, they get sick, and you make drugs to I mean, it is a big, you're talking about a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry here. So
Yeah.
the economy of don't forget, the business of America is business. This was Wilson, right? President, was it Wilson or one of the presidents? That was what he said. Business of America is business. So business first, and if we can find a drug that really helps cancer patients and we can make a good profit on it, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
But we got 1,600 people a day dying every day. The survival needle is not moving. We have not moved this since even President Nixon's 1971 war on cancer. President Biden's moonshot, he calls it the moonshot. We're going to put all this money into cancer because Democrats and Republicans, everybody can agree that cancer is not good. We're going to put millions of dollars into immunotherapies based on the somatic mutation theory. Therefore, it's not going to work. Don't they know that? I keep telling them that. It's not going to work. Get over it. Oh, but we have this guy over here like Jimmy Carter. Whoa, look at little Jimmy. You know, he's a phenom. I have to grant you. I mean, the guy should have been dead, but he's alive. But everybody wants to be like Jimmy Carter. And so many of them are dying. They're not like Jimmy Carter. So a metabolic therapy can bring the majority of people into a higher state of health without the toxicity. Is it easy? No. It requires a lot of personal discipline on the part of the patient. So the patient today goes to the cancer center and sits there in a chair with an infusion of drugs, and then he goes and gets massively radiated or whatever they're going to do to him. And he's not a participant. He's a bystander in his own treatment. Okay. When you do metabolic therapy, you are now a participant in your outcome. You are not a bystander anymore. You are a participant. So your outcome depends on your participation and compliance with the program. And you are educated at the same time you are being treated. And the oncologist is educating you because he understands. And in medical schools, we're not talking about it. So we're turning out legions and legions of physicians that know nothing or very little about how we use nutrition as part of the therapeutic modality. You see, so we have a problem here. So it's an educational problem. It's a financial problem. All these problems come together. But apparently the society says that's okay. Business as usual. Let's run for breast cancer.